Hey, ladies and gents. Right, okay. Right, so for this video, I'm going to be talking about intermittent fasting. And I've been doing this for a while now. I can't remember exactly how long, but it must have been at least a year. And I've got this intermittent fasting down to quite a tight window. It's a bit of a crazy window actually, which feels a little bit unnatural really when I think about it, and it's got me to a stage now. And this video, I suppose, is just my interpretation about what's going on. I've always kind of pushed things to the limit as much as possible, and in my life, I'm quite ambitious. Um, so I'm just letting you know my experience of intermittent fasting, and particularly how it relates to being a business owner and productivity levels and stuff like that. So it's definitely not advice. As a quick disclaimer, um, try this if you want. This is just my opinion on things, and it's been my lived experience. So I'll let you know my journey up to now as well. Um, Obviously, things might change. I might start eating um, more regularly again at some point. I'm not. Also, I'm not kind of. Um, well, I'll let you know the pattern anyway. I'll let you know the pattern of how I've been eating and whether you even think it meets the criteria of intermittent fasting. Right. So I first kind of heard about this when Hugh Jackman was he was training his body for Wolverine. One of the Wolverines, one of the not the first one, I don't think, but one of the not the first X-Men anyway. And obviously he's really ripped, and is a guy who's I think is in his 50s. So you've obviously got less testosterone production and whatnot at that age, and so he's obviously got personal trainers and that kind of thing to help him with this kind of stuff. Um, so so yeah, I noticed that he was eating. I can't remember the window, something like a 6 hour window or something like that, and so I started to look like at an 8 hour window, and what that might be like. So that for me would have been like a 10 while six. But as I started to do that, I was like um, skipping breakfast, and I found that when I skipped breakfast, I felt kind of less. I felt like I was missing out on something. I felt like I was less productive, less energy. Um, People talk about being dizzy and stuff like that. What I realized is I would just kind of, because I've been so used to throughout my whole life, eating, the typical three meals a day. And I'll give you some more insights now actually, because I've never been a person who's really snacked. I've never been a person who's snacked. There'll be some days when I do snack, but that's the exception rather than the rule. So my kind of normal like eating habits up until doing intermittent fasting were never like the munching throughout the day kind of thing. So it'd be I'd have breakfast, and then I'd have lunch, and then I'd have evening meal, and that's it. Um, and that were it for years and years. So it was like three meals. At one point, I were getting heavily into doing uh, weightlifting and stuff like that, working out. So I'd be eating. At one point, I would have been eating like shakes in between and having a can of tuna and stuff like that. Um, and I was doing that kind of thing. So like doing like the 5 or 6 meals thing at one point. I know I got heavily into that. Doing eating a lot. So you can bulk up and stuff. Um, and then, but when I got into the more intermittent fasting and eating, it's generally eating less as well, because people ask me how many calories I have, and I don't actually track my calories, so I might start tracking. But a lot of days I don't eat probably enough calories, that most people will probably eat as well. Um, and I'm noticing signs now since I've been doing intermittent fasting a while that I am less hungry, not just throughout the day, um, but when I'm actually having a meal as well. So I'm not ravenous. I'm not. Most people think we're intermittent fasting that you'd be absolutely starving when you have that one or two meals that you end up having, and um, you're starving, and then you eat, and then it's a big relief. It's actually not like that anymore. It's like it was weird. Like the other day, um, I ended up, I think, not eating that day. I were having coffee, so that's the thing. So, quick kind of caveat then. So I have coffee with milk. So I'm probably not truly intermittent fasting. But I'll just dive into to kind of what I'm doing now, and then I'll go back a bit, to how I kind of got there from going from what I call normal eating to kind of um intermittent fasting, if that's what you call what I'm doing after I've described it. So basically, so far today, it's coming on 11:15 a.m. I got up about 7:45 this morning. So I've had one coffee, um, one really nice coffee that I've made with my Sage coffee machine that I've got here at home. So it's a flat white. I always make a flat white, um, and it's got full fat milk in it. So that's what I've had so far today. Um, and I don't often think about food. So the way I describe how I'm feeling now is I'd like another coffee, and I'm going to have another coffee once I've recorded this video. And I usually have two or three coffees a day. So that's kind of what I have in the day. And then I'll drink water. And I'll drink some, usually drink like San Pellegrino. So it's fizzy, and that kind of satiates you to an extent as well. Drinking water kind of satiates you. And then I'll have a multivitamin every day. Um, and and yeah, so I suppose you might say, Michael, you're not really truly intermittent fasting because you've had a coffee with milk in it, and that's probably spiked your insulin levels. You probably got some blood sugar in there. Um, so if that's the case, so be it. That's where I say, because I'm eating less. I'm eating less than what I'd say a lot of people would. So it's kind of working for me. But what does it do for me? It kind of I'm when will I eat today as well? So I probably get to it. I probably won't eat before. Well, I'm going out tonight, so I need to eat about five. In fact, there's a meal tonight, so going out, and that's not till about 8 o'clock. So what will I do today? I'll probably have something at about five. It might be something like poached eggs on toast about 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to be setting it off out about 5:30. And then tonight I'll have the evening meal, which I'll still be able to eat that after eating at five. So my window will be 5 o'clock until probably 9 p.m. So that's a 4 hour eating window. And then up until then, I'll probably have a coffee in half an hour, around about 11:45 or something. I'm not kind of on the clock with. I don't time my coffees or anything, and then I'll probably have one 4 p.m. or something. So I'll have three coffees today. I might push it to four, but that's a rare thing. It's usually two or three coffees. Um, and then I'll have some water, and that'll be all I'll eat. So I'll have a meal about 8 o'clock, and then I'll have a meal, a small meal at five, to break my fast. Um, and I'll go back to yesterday, in case you're interested in that. So what did I have yesterday? Um, I were out for a business lunch yesterday, and what time was that? So that was about 12:15. So about About 12:30, we had fish and chips. Um, in a nice farm shop, and that were about 12:30. So probably finished eating that about 1 p.m. And then the only other thing that I had was a donut yesterday, which I regretted having actually. What I usually have, and that I can't remember what time that were actually, but I'm trying to think if I had anything else to eat. Actually, I didn't know. So I've really not had a meal since 12:30 yesterday. So it's been about 11 hours. Um, and then I did have a donut though, but that kind of weren't nice. And then I had what did I have then? Um I had a bottle of non-alcohol because I don't drink alcohol anymore. I had a bottle of non-alcoholic lager. Um, there were one in the fridge, so I just had that bottle, and then I had a couple of um what did I have? Oh yeah, I had one non-alcoholic gin and tonic, and that had fruit in it and berries and stuff like that. And I had that quite late before I went to bed, probably about 11 p.m. So throughout the day, I'd have fish and chips. About 12:30 midday. Probably finished eating that about 1:15 maybe, something like that. I can't remember when it arrived. It might have been 1:45. Can't remember. Um, and I'd had my second coffee, at that little cafe. So that was my second coffee. Um, and then when I got it must have been a bit later, sometime in the afternoon. I had that donut. It might have been 5 p.m. or something. I can't quite remember. And I had another coffee. So I had my third coffee, and then after that, that were it. So that was probably the last. Well, the last thing I had was some raspberries with the. There were some raspberries in the alcohol-free gin and tonic. So that obviously has got calories in it, and that'll affect your blood sugar and stuff like that. But that's all I had yesterday, and I didn't even eat all the fish and chips. You'd think that you get a meal, um, and you'd think that you get a meal and devour it, because you're so hungry. But there were some mushy peas. I didn't have all those. I didn't really like those. I love mushy peas though, but just something about these. There was some tartar sauce. I didn't finish that. I didn't finish all the batter on the fish. It were a bit greasy. I didn't have all the chips. Um, did I know it were going to be the last meal that I had that day, yesterday? No, I was planning on maybe having something else, but I just didn't get hungry. Vicky, my partner, were going to cook fajitas and nachos because we do usually eat on the evening. This is the other thing. So I suppose that's worth mentioning that um, unless I would have been in company um, having that business meal midday, I wouldn't have eaten. So it's only because I were kind of being sociable, and the guy I were with ordered, so I ordered. Um, that's why I had that at that time. So I kind of adapted things. Um, I watching I watching uh, one of the videos on YouTube with is it Brian Johnson who's the guy who's apparently reversing aging, and I think he stops eating about 11 a.m. So I might start kind of experimenting with that as well, where you're eating earlier on. Because when I went to bed, and I'm not going to bed with a full stomach as well, well, good because I felt a little bit hungry. I felt a little bit like I'm going to sleep better. You know what? Actually, I've just had a revelation. I did sleep really well last night. I slept really well because the digestion were happening throughout the day, and I had pretty much empty stomach besides like the raspberries, so that probably worked quite well. But yeah, how did I get to this point of this? So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to drop a comment in and let me know if you think I'm actually intermittent fasting or if I'm just breaking my fast with the coffees and the milking. I don't like black coffee, so I'm not, and I like the milky. Well, I like flat whites where it's kind of like half coffee and half milk. So I like a strong, um, bit milky, milk based coffee, I suppose. Um, and I'm not. gonna stop having those unless I do like a caffeine fast, which I might do actually at some point just to get the just have a break from it really. Um, because two or three coffees a day, it's not a lot really by anybody's standards, but it's still something else that I'm introducing, to have a desired effect and to get the dopamine and all that kind of thing. And I'm all for having a nice neutral, steady energy throughout the day. And I think that coffee does affect that with me. I can sometimes have a coffee then feel more tired. But anyway, how did I get from eating kind of normally to this kind of extreme way of eating? Um, and what are some of the kind of things that I eat as well? You might be interested in that as well. So yeah, I'll answer those questions. So um, it kind of happened by accident, really. Intermittent fasting for me. I've always been kind of body conscious and health conscious. Even though at points in my life I have pushed things and I said probably, well, I have abused my body, um, over time. So I'm even more conscious now as a guy in his mid 40s about what I put in my body, taking exercise and stuff like that, and kind of taking it easy. I'm very, I don't do things like jogging now. I was never a big fan, but I used to do a lot, or quite a bit, when I was more heavily into exercise. But now it would be a nice brisk walk and some kettlebells and press ups and uh, stomach crunches and stuff like that. So things which are a bit lo-fi in terms of. I like to get on a machine. I've cancelled the gym membership recently because it would just take too much time to get there, and I'm trying to focus on fewer things to push the business forward and just be a bit more mindful about trimming the fat really in my life. So that's where I am. That's where I'm at right now. So we can have quite nice walks from my home, from our home. Um, Living with my partner Vicky, and we've got lovely walks, and I've got some kettlebells at home, and that's doing it for now. And doing some press ups and stuff like that. I might get a pull up bar, to go over one of the doors or something like that. But yeah, how did I get to intermittent fasting? Some of it was being busy, some of it was actually skipping meals. But then being mindful that I want to get me macro and micronutrients in as well, which I must admit I've not always got them in a given day. So supplementing with multivitamin and stuff like that. But most of the stuff that I consume is cut from scratch. We hardly ever go out and eat out. Vic is a very good cook. Um, I'm I'm pretty good, but I don't really cook much because Vicky's that good. And then I'll do the barbecue. So that's kind of the dynamic there. Um, in fact, I've just remembered I've had Weetabix this morning, so I was thinking that I'd not eaten anything this morning and just had a coffee, but I've had three Weetabix with semi-skim milk on it. So yeah, I'm not wanting to mislead, but I've just remembered. So I fancied some fiber basically. For the whole um, yeah, and I wanted some fiber, so I have had a meal today. So yeah, I've not eaten since midday. I've completely forgot that. So I've had three Weetabix, and again, yeah. So there's not much in that though, is there? But I don't regularly have breakfast. On a weekend, I'll have a fry up or something like that. I like nice ingredients. I like nice sausages and nice bacon and black pudding and all that kind of thing. So suppose I like, really high quality meat and stuff like that, and but just less of it, I suppose. But I eat a lot of meat, so it's like pretty much every meal I have every day includes meat, and probably more meat than carbs, really. So I suppose it's going on to nearly not quite carnivore, but definitely not carnivore, but less potatoes and stuff like that. At one point, I was eating chips every day, and then I just thought, oh, I've had enough of this, having chips with steak and stuff. So we kind of tapered off that. Um, but yeah, how did I get into this? So mostly skipping meals. Yeah, being mindful about the body, hearing about it, like the benefits of intermittent fasting, which I'll go through in a bit as well, and uh, and also when you've done it for a while as well, you've done it for a long time, you don't really feel that hungry anymore. You kind of get used to your body gets used to it. So that proves to me that we're not built to eat constantly gnaw on things and eat as human beings. We're meant to be eating less, and I think we're meant to be eating. I'm not a doctor, and I don't, I just know what I know about things, and obviously you don't know what you don't know, but um, yeah. So I just know that over time I've got used to it. I've got used to the habit of eating less, and I'm not hungry all the time. I speak to a lot of people um, who ask me about this, and they said they get dizzy if they didn't eat, and they have to keep eating and stuff like that. I don't know. Uh, some people have got a medical condition. There's diabetes and things like that, and um, but I think that a lot of people can probably eat in this kind of way. Is it good for you? I'm not sure. I mean, it's just what I'm doing at this time. I heard somewhere that people can live longer by eating less, but by just eating less. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing it. But I don't have regular blood work or anything like that, so I'm not sure. Right, so I got into this by just being, I suppose, mindful that I was making choices to eat less frequently, but it was mostly just being busy. Mostly just like no time to have lunch, so I didn't. I've got to say, when I now I'm a business owner, it's different, so I've got a lot more control over my time. When I worked in an office, I noticed people like munching on things a lot. Um, and again, I just kind of did my own thing and didn't bother with anything like that. We'll go and make a cup of tea, and it's like the liquid fills you up anyway, doesn't it? So it don't get it's not kind of calorific. It's not got as much of the energy in it. I never had like white sugar in me. Well, I did have white sugar in my tea when I was young, but um, like not as an adult or anything like that. Um, but yeah, that's how I got into it by just you know um I think it was just like skipping meals and not really eating much really. But still knowing that I need to get certain amount of calories in a day and stuff like that to have enough energy. Um, will it restrict me from? Am I too strict with it? Not really. No. Like I did yesterday, I had uh, I had that meal around midday. Um, if I weren't going out tonight, I would just have one meal, probably at 7. Um, when tends to cook, and even when I have that, I'm not absolutely hungry. Sometimes it'll be 8 o'clock. Now that I think we might need to change because then I'm going to bed later because I've got a full stomach, and I know that for the first couple of hours after eating, you're really digesting a lot, aren't you? And you depending on what you're eating, you're digesting for a while. Um, so yeah, that I think eating early on. I think Brian Johnson's got that way. Stopping eating at I think it's 11 a.m. and then he's got all that time. He goes to bed at 8 p.m. apparently, so he's got 9 hours of time and then having a good sleep. But yeah, there's something in that then. So I had a better sleep last night than I had the night before, and I had something to eat a lot later. And then, in fact, I had a ribeye steak I did on the barbecue quite late, probably about 9:15, and honestly, I was like tossing and turning and waking up and stuff like that, and it was just like pretty nasty, really, just like not sleeping well. So I'm gonna start having a cut off point by about 6 o'clock, but it's a bit awkward with work as well. Vicky sometimes doesn't get in till like later on. So yeah. Um, so I'll go through two other things in this video in case this is helpful. Um, next thing I go through is what I tend to eat. Just in case you're interested in that, and then I'm going to go through the benefits from my point of view and how it's changed my life and all that kind of thing and that. Yeah, and whether I could go back to and whether I would go back to like a normal way of eating, and how long it would take for me to get back into that if I wanted to. Okay, so and this is just all my opinion. Like I said, it's not none of this is medical advice. I'm not qualified to give that, and I don't know anyway. So I just know what I've kind of figured out and read and stuff like that. Um, and am I doing intermittent fasting? I think I must be. I mean, I suppose the first coffee I have is about 7:30 to 7:45, and then I might have a if I'm having a non-alcoholic drink, then that'll be up to about 10 or 11 or 12 or something sometimes, um, even later, depending on what we're doing. Or if I'm not having that, it'll be tea with some local honey in it, which again is going to spike the old insulin. So I'll be having that. So it's not. I'm not that strict. I'm not like, oh yeah, we've got a 4 hour window or 6 hour window, and I don't have any. I only have food in that because that would be kind of. And maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe I'm not doing it properly, but I just think that it's better than for me than doing the 3, 4, 5, 6 meals, the 3 meals or whatever it is. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing the point on that as well. Right. So what do I tend to eat? So one of my favourites is I don't have this every day, but it's we like to have variety. I don't like to have the same thing every day. You'll hear about guys having steaks every day and doing uh, carnivore, and they've got to do that, and it's like they're on a mission to do that. I mean, I'm on a mission enough in the business. We grow in the business than doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I might do that at some point. I might do like the steak every day and everything, but that can be quite expensive as well. Um, so some of the go-tos would be we have chicken gyros with chips. So very very nice Greek dish with tzatziki sauce with dill and yogurt and all that garlic in it as well. I think. Um, yeah, definitely garlic. And then so that's one thing we have. We'll sometimes have a roast dinner with beef, sometimes with chicken. That's getting a bit less frequent. We'll have burgers on the barbecue. Um, Steak again. Yeah, so ribeye's my favourite. Sirloin's nice. T-bone. Um, One of my favourites is to have a ribeye with some nice scampi, so surf and turf, with a peppercorn sauce, some chips, onion rings, salad, all the works basically. Um, Sometimes a little concoction with red pepper, chopped onions, um, just kind with mushrooms as well. Field mushrooms, not the little button mushrooms. I don't like those. Field mushrooms chopped up and fried and all that kind of thing, and that's all tasty. Put that on your steak and stuff. That's one of my favourites. Um, Fish and chips, just nice food like that, nice and might have saturated fat in it, but I think it's the trans fat which is the kind of damaging stuff, the processed stuff into it. So it's all nice homemade stuff. Sometimes a curry, that'll be homemade. So a chicken boner and stuff like that. We're getting good at making that, or Vicky is. So I like the idea of doing that rather than doing a takeaway. Um, and so it's basically no takeaways. We believe we can cook it better ourselves. We'll occasionally go out, um, but yeah, it's mostly what we can make ourselves. And I'm a big barbecuer, so I do enjoy that. Right, so that's what I tend to eat: chicken fajitas, nachos with cheese, that kind of thing. So just nice food. It's not. We don't tend to put sometimes fish fingers. Something that you can put in the oven, but very occasionally. I always regret that. And sometimes beans on toast and stuff like that. So though those tend to be the sometimes jacket potatoes with cheese and stuff like that, and just nice stuff. Right, so that's what I tend to eat. Um, Drinks will be coffee, tea, um, water, and that's it. And non-alcoholic drinks occasionally. Um, and that's it. Yeah, no pop, no Coca-Cola, no dilute pop, no fizzy pop, anything like that. Uh, Anything. Vices. I will say that sometimes I will, if there's a packet of crisps in the house and it's 150 grams even, so it's like 5 bags of crisps in one. I will tend to devour that. So it's good not to have it in the house. And then chocolate is another thing. So try not to have it in the house. I am partial to a ginger biscuit. So if I'm at a farm shop, we'll get some Parkin ginger biscuit. Um, Anything of that variety. The what's the other one? Flapjack. Quite nice. And I'll pick up a sausage roll, or a what are the other ones? The eggs, Scotch eggs. Yeah. So I'll pick up those, and then again, if I have a sausage roll and a Scotch egg, that's kind of what I'm eating for the day because it's so filling. So it's not like I can have that and then I'm having, something else. Um, so next thing I'm going to go through is the benefits as I see them. Um, I'd say steady energy. I'd say just feeling that I'm more in control of what I'm eating rather than it controlling me, kind of thing. So I think it's kind of frustrating if you're having to stop and have something to eat um rather than having it all in one, being able to eat it in one or two sittings. So generally speaking, I will be eating one or two times a day, and that's it. And I think that's sufficient for me. Um, but like I said, I won't be um I won't turn an experience down. So if we're going out for a nice meal, I won't say, "Oh, I don't eat at this time. I'm sorry, I'm gonna ruin everybody's fun. I'll just have something to eat and that's it, and maybe leave a bit of it, or maybe order something smaller or different or something I fancy, um, or something like that. So that's the way I'll tend to do it. But I won't let it kind of control me or dictate my life. But yeah, I think I've got more mental clarity and a bit more. It's kind of like more determination and maybe a little bit more drive, because a bit more focus, because it's almost like being an hunter gatherer, and you do some work and then you've got your reward because you've earned your meal, kind of thing. Um, so I think that it supports cognitive function by I think when you're digesting food, from what I've read and what I've watched, in terms of content on this, is that when you eat something, then your body can only do so many things. I know we do a lot on the subconscious, but it's kind of breaking down the food, and that's causing fatigue, so you're not as mentally alert. Um, so yeah, enhanced mental clarity and focus is one that I definitely notice. It definitely increased productivity, because it's not just the fact that I'm not having to stop for lunch, and then have the downside of eating carbs or whatever. I know you can just eat protein and just do that, and or some berries and stuff like that. Um, but I think increased productivity comes from just the way that you naturally feel about doing things, day to day. So the energy that you've got from kind of not having, it's even not having as much decision fatigue on what to have and all that kind of thing, because big decisions and small decisions make uh, expend the same amount of energy. So if I'm having to think about what to eat, that's one less decision that I can make in that day. And as I get through the day, I'm making kind of poorer decisions. So I want to make good decisions early on. So I definitely don't want to be having food within me, in the morning, for example. Um, so if there were one meal that I'd skip, it would be breakfast. And if I wanted to get in something like a nice, I mean, if we're on holiday, which is rare these days, I would have, so we went to Greece, I would have a breakfast, I would have some fruit and have some yogurt or something like that, a nice continental breakfast, um, or something like that. But then that'd be different because we'd be on holiday. But I'm talking like day to day, running the business and making good decisions. Um, but it's the for me, it's the simplification of the routine that there's fewer eating slots, so like more time to think and do work and other things really, and not letting food kind of dictate us. I just struggle to get my head around it being more than a marketing ploy to get us to eat more. I just don't. I don't think we. I can't see it. If I take a step back at a human being, I don't see. I don't see it as being a valid lifestyle to have uh, 3 meals a day, unless you were really bored and you didn't have much more to do and you were just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have the next meal. And that's how things like food addiction can happen, where you've had a meal, then you're already hungry for the next one. You already think about the next one. So it's taken the focus, I suppose, off food and eating to live rather than living to eat, and not having something control me. I think as I delve into this, as I'm creating this video, I'm kind of getting some introspection from why I'm doing this as well. You can see it's not necessarily, it's a bit adult, this video. It's not. It's more like an exploration that I'm doing in real time, and as it's unfolding in front of you. But um, yeah, I think decision making is improved when your body has less to deal with. But I will say that when I do eat, I am eating for the whole, not always, and it's kind of getting less so, but I'm trying to fit in every macro micronutrient. So I've got the salad or veg, I've got the carbs, I've got the protein and things like that. So I would never just have, because I'm not a vegetarian or vegan, I would never just have a salad. But I wouldn't be opposed to trying that either. I wouldn't be opposed to trying like a meat free. But I'm very much a meat eater and I enjoy meat, and I think that meat is a good thing. At the moment, anyway, I'm never say never. So yeah, clearer thinking, the discipline that comes from it as well, as I think about it. So fasting, it builds mental resilience. Um, and yeah, so it just helps me have better discipline for like business operations in general, strategy, um, mind controlling my own mind and everything. So learning to say no to my own old paradigm of trying to um, get me back into old ways and stuff like that. But I think from what I've read, hormonal regulation's better when you fast as well. So you can be more on an even keel. You don't have to as much of the ebbs and flows with your modes. So you're regulating your intermittent fast can regulate your cortisol and which is your stress hormone basically. So you don't want much of that in your blood. You want to have as little of that as possible. Because you're in fight or flight basically, and that can be very tiring. And at some point, if you're in that too much, you've got to pay the piper at some point, and potentially, you got to come down, and you have to come down lower than your baseline, because you've expended energy, and then you're going to come down lower than your baseline. So I'd rather stay at baseline, but then grow the baseline out of the comfort zone, if that makes sense. So yeah, more stability. Certainly, I'm very calm I can be very calm in a situation. Because I've got more stable blood levels, and so I don't really have. I can't really say that I have like the too many emotional lows and highs in things really. Um, I do some occasionally have like depressing thoughts, but I just do my routines, my affirmations, gratitudes. I just take action on things and just have some time for myself and breathing exercise and stuff like that, like every day. So yeah, I've got some good routines going on. Weight management, definitely. Um, you can definitely feel and see that, with the you can even do it if you just got like a sedentary lifestyle and you just kind of sat behind a desk and do intermittent fasting and still kind of control your weight quite well. It gets harder when you get older, obviously, like um, but the physical health benefits are fasting, I think, for me are there anyway, and yeah. So energy management, one of my biggest things, energy management, because I've got a lot to do in a day. Um, I, I've definitely, as I said earlier in this video, I've noticed better sleep if I'm stopping eating earlier. So that's a non-negotiable. I think going forward, I've realised that. So eat earlier, stop eating. I would say 4:30 is a cut-off point. But again, if you have an evening meal, it can be difficult, and depending on what time you go to bed. I am adamant that I'm going to start to go to bed earlier, get up earlier, go to bed at the same time or within a 45-minute window, and get up at the same time or within a 45-minute window. Um, and then obviously you'll get into a better circadian rhythm, more regular body clock and all that kind of thing, and then fewer depressing thoughts, less anxiety, more consistency. We're creatures of habit at the end of the day, I believe. So yeah, I think I do think that a proper fasting schedule can really improve sleep quality. So and obviously if you're sleeping more and better quality, not waking up in the night, having more REM cycles, having more deep sleep, then you're gonna get better recovery from exercise. Ultimately, live longer. Because sleep is so important. So important, and a good night's sleep and a good, nice bed and mattress and uh, temperature when you're sleeping and stuff like that. I'm really into that. Um, and then your daily energy. So I don't really get the meal crashes, um, where you kind of eat at midday and then you kind of go, you feel sleepy and stuff like that. I don't really get that. So it's just more consistent energy throughout the day. So yeah, those are the benefits that I'm seeing anyway. Let me know your thoughts on this then. Let me know what you think. Have you tried this? Am I even intermittent fasting? Am I really? I don't know, but this is how I'm eating anyway. And look, yeah, I've had some Weetabix today. I won't eat anything else till about 5. Um, I wouldn't dream about having anything else to eat until about 5 now. I'm gonna have another coffee now though, once we've uploaded this video. But um, yeah, interesting stuff. So that's my take on it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm doing harm to myself? Do you think I'm doing a good thing? Do you think it's an healthier lifestyle? How could I improve it? Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time.